versus Levi Jones. We're not going to break down the whole thing, just the first rounds and some interesting bits. And I mainly want you to take note about Levi's passing and Levi's guard retention, and then also David Cesari's attempts to sit back into the leg and heel his opponent. So that's kind of the three main themes that happen in this match. So let's get into it. Also, if you like what you see, I have an online Skool community. It's completely free for now. And I also have an personalized coaching group. I work with students online to directly help them improve their jiu-jitsu. So if you're interested, link will be in the description. Message me on Skool. So the match starts, and Davis looks to control the ankles, kind of hang out from this position. Levi managed to entangle towards the De La Riva, and as soon as Levi connects towards the guard, he always just starts off-balancing immediately. So you can see how Levi's taking his head inside the space and trying to off-balance him towards here. In this case, Davis managed to do a great job like backstepping and popping the hook down. So now Levi recognizes that the hook is no longer engaged. It doesn't really make sense to continue to off-balance with that hook. So you can see how now he places the other hook towards the inside and tries using that hook momentarily. But then again, Davis also ejects that hook because he's controlling it. So Levi goes back towards his hook again and then starts off-balancing, which is really nice. And now because he has the hook engaged, he has a little bit easier time. But the same thing happens, which it gets pushed down. You can see how he's trying to access that second leg or pummel this foot in and use that to off-balance. So great guard play by Levi and great, great hand fighting by Dave to shut down his offense. So you can see like Levi wanted to go towards a waiter sweep there, but because Davis controlled that ankle, Levi couldn't use this to off-balance and get his hands towards the mat and pummel towards inside position, so he managed to kind of like negate his attack. Although he still managed to get him onto that hip, which was quite interesting. But because Davis is controlling both ankles, Levi's having a kind of difficult time sweeping. Because Davis is on a knee now, now he's kind of like immobilized a little bit. He can't move as well because he's less athletic. So this is good for Levi. Levi can look to get scoops here and then look to enter in a way to sweep and start sweeping. There we go. He managed to pummel towards a sweep, and what he's looking for is looking to scoop that leg and get underneath and spin his head towards the inside. If he does that successfully, there's going to be like back take opportunities and sweeping opportunities. So Davis kind of recognizes he's in danger here. This like isn't a good position. So I think sitting back in the leg lock is probably like his best option. Like he can't really escape from here because both his legs are tied up, and he's not really athletic in this stance, so he can't explode away. So going for the leg lock is actually a great idea because he can force Levi to try to push him away. Levi actually tries to stand up and just put his foot on the mat, but then Davis managed to like just scramble out and essentially turn into a single leg battle. So quite a like unorthodox but quite effective combo by Davis. He tries the cheeky double wrist misdirection. Oftentimes when you tie up wrist to wrist, you can like fling your opponent through and get him on his hip, but Levi's not really tense with his grip, so nothing really happens. You kind of need like your opponent stiffening up and tensing for you to do that. You can see Davis already on the ankles trying to get angle and trying to pass, but Levi does such a good job with his guard retention and playing with wide legs. So you can see always keep him away very nicely. Something Levi has like developed over his no-gi career, he does come seated now a lot more, especially when his opponent is kind of backing away and he can't make like a meaningful connection, because here he doesn't really have any like meaningful grips, right? So he wants to like sit forward and get connection, but because Davis is playing like far away, if he doesn't do anything, this essentially will be the whole match. So Levi looks to come seated and looks to come forward and start attacking him, which is quite nice. He falls to his back again to retain guard, but once again, notice how he's back seated and he's looking for connection. This is quite nice. He's just looking to connect towards like an outside position guard mainly. He's looking to grab his elbows and triceps and pull him in. Yeah, you can see him trying to grab and pull him in here. He actually does manage to get on top, mainly because Davis sits back into the leg. So yeah, beautiful. Davis tries to sit back into single leg X and off balance him. And they start defending from here. So let's break that down. So Davis manages to control the second leg, which isn't ideal for Levi. And Davis tries off balancing in this direction, but both of his hands can post towards the mat. If Levi stays here, Davis could go into reap and belly down ankle lock, so he kind of backsteps and squares up to him. But this is a fairly unathletic position, and David could like potentially look to sweep, especially as he backsteps here. This would probably be the perfect time to try to like come up and or just off balance him towards the butt, really, because he has no really base in this direction if he can keep that leg held. But Levi manages to free his ankle and step it backward in this direction. And now he manages to square up with his opponent, and now he's in a much better defensive position where Davis doesn't control his ankle. And then from here, he can look to back step and high pummel and kind of balance on one leg. Well, that was quite nice. So Davis tried going for a reap there, but notice Levi's elbow and knee. Because his elbow and knee was somewhat close, Davis throws over and he can't really get inside the space, and instead he throws towards like a position where his heel's on his bicep. So that was quite nice. I don't know if that was intentional or like just luck managed to have his elbow placed in. I think Levi is doing that intentionally. But now as Davis tries to reap, Levi can just eject that reap out and feed his legs back towards the inside, which is quite nice. Now they're in this like outside Ashy position. So outside Ashy is like, it's a good position. So it's like one of the positions where it's quite difficult to escape because it's a closed wedge, but it's quite good for both opponents. Like the opponent on top can stop pressuring in and smashing and passing his opponent from there, which is what Levi tries to do. But the opponent on bottom can also keep the opponent stuck in outside Ashy and start attacking from here. So you can see how Levi is like kind of crouching and making Davis carry his body weight. So it's very fatiguing for Davis. And what he's looking to do, he's looking to one, keep his knees outside in like a leg drag type position, and then swim and get upper body rips. If Levi can connect towards a crossface and underhook, he can sprawl his knee towards the mat and pass. And Davis is thinking about pushing him away with his frame, making sure he can establish. But Davis has to be careful. The more he pushes with his frame, one, the more fatigued he gets, but two, the more Levi can bump the frame out the way and look to establish underhooks. So you can see Levi is pressuring in, kind of exhausting Davis. So, yeah, it's quite fatiguing. If Davis releases too much pressure, then he can look to escape. So this is nice. Davis looks to explode backwards and try to off balance. Levi tries staying in this position, but Davis switches from a push to a pull and manages to like off balance him overhead. Although now he switches towards a scoop, which is not the best idea from outside Ashy. He recognizes that and feeds towards 50-50. If he stayed here, this like would not have been good. Davis probably would have got his back taken. So he tries passing across towards 50-50, and Levi turns and just frees his knee line and tries going back into his own counter bowlers, which is quite nice. But Davis uses this to just come up. So this is an example. Just even the threat of leg locks is great. Levi has to back step and defend and sit to his butt. And anytime they sit to the butt, you can just come up and sweep them. So really effective. Now he's back on top looking to pass. You can see Levi coming seated, just trying to get connection. What he's really looking for is just Delahiva. It's his main form of offense. And then from Delahiva, he tries to off-balance Davis. And then he switches towards a scoop. He's probably going to go into weighted sweeps again. Yep. Davis doing a good job trying to eject this leg and stop this leg from coming towards the inside. But Levi does a better job keeping it hooked in and turning. And something to note, like even if you don't have the leg controlled, right? If you get their stance wide enough, by threading this hook and they have to backstep, you can still turn your opponent onto this hip and drop him and kind of force him to drop to a knee. So here Levi didn't even get the hook in, but because Davis backstepped so much, he managed to turn his knee down so much and think about attacking. Now Davis is kind of forced to drop to his knee to defend the inside position. Now this is a great position. Levi can look to pummel in to single leg X by making a knee pummel or ankle pummel. But Davis is doing a good job, like kind of pushing his foot down and being very defensive and annoying from here. It wouldn't surprise me if Davis tries to sit back on a leg lock from here so he can reset the position. That is what happened last time. But you can see Levi's being a little bit more sensible with his leg and because he knows what's up. Now Levi can look to explode. Quite an awkward position to get up from, but he makes it work. Kind of almost giving up a leg entanglement in the process, but this is okay. A lot of times if you can give him a leg entanglement like single leg X, you can force him to take it and force him to accept the bottom position. That's a strategy Gianni Gripper uses quite well. And now Levi's here. He's probably going to look to flank him in this direction here by torquing his knee inwards. So you can see he gets to display some of his passing from here. It's around the outside. Davis is trying to play a keymaster, hit K-guard. What Levi does very nicely is threatening one side and switching towards the other side. This is something a lot of the Unity guys do. They always look to switch sides on their opponent. That's really nice. But because he doesn't have control of this inside leg, Davis is able to high leg and use this leg to push him back away. And now they just end up in a knee shield but the other side. And you can see Levi just switch again. You kind of chain this like a lot and a lot, going back and forth, and it's very fatiguing for your opponent. This time Levi tries controlling that inside space, but doesn't quite manage to get it because he high legs. A lot of times when you post inside that knee, the knee's not really the best because they can like whip the ankle inside for the flexible. So if Levi went more towards the calf or even grabbed his ankle, that probably would have been a little bit more effective. It is a match, so of course like you don't really have the time to like adjust your hand placement, but that's, I believe like that would be more effective in shutting down the high leg. And then Levi manages to, Davis managed to make connection and score up, but Levi just uses this to like go back towards the hip, towards the angle and go towards the stack. That's quite nice. So he doesn't really care about Davis high legging because it's so fatiguing. He can chain it back to other passes. So because Davis weaved the leg in this position, he takes this, I like to call it like a false leg scoop, because the ankle's in, he can backstep. And as he backstep, Davis tries to extend his leg to kind of deal with that, but he just goes straight into a stack position, which is great for Levi. Levi tries cutting the angle, but Davis manages to bring his knees in, and then Levi switches towards north-south, which is quite nice. Something he does quite nicely here is Levi takes a scoop on the leg, which is quite interesting. He's not looking to, normally people just get inside the space straight away, but Levi actually takes a scoop underneath, which I haven't really seen before, something I'm definitely going to play around with. See how he's scooping over the top, and then he brings his shoulder towards the inside. I wonder if that's to just fatigue Davis and stop him from wrestling up. Something I think about Davis, like if he gets past from here, he's just going to turn in and wrestle up against Levi. But because Levi took this scoop on his leg, when Davis tries to turn in, he can't get his knee towards the mat. So this is quite interesting at stopping the wrestle up. Something I'm definitely going to start implementing in my game. And then he managed to get the clean pass towards north-south, and Davis accepts the pass and lays on his back. I believe it is like rounds and then submission only, so there are 3 rounds left and there's only 30 seconds left in the round, so energy fatigue is definitely a big factor. So does he want to expend a lot of energy to recover the pass, or is he happy just to sit there and accept the pass? These are all the things you have to think about when you're competing, especially in a longer format. Yeah, this is pretty much the round. Definitely won by Levi. Levi had the more significant attacks. He swept Davis a couple times. He passed him at the end, and yeah, overall Davis had a couple leg entanglements, but they never really got close to submitting him. They were mainly used to threaten the sweep, and Levi managed to bend them